Live from Jacksonville, it's Sunday morning. Yes, indeed, through the magic of video production, we are right here at TIA Bank Field. Actually, we really are, though. Stay tuned as we're going to check out the battle for first in the AFC South, Jacksonville versus Indianapolis.
Battle of the choke artists, Dallas and the Chargers. Which team will continue Chokapalooza 2023?
AR and H.A.M and J-Jettis. Oh my, the injury bug hit big for week 6. We'll break down who's missing in action and just how much their teams will miss them.
And what will be more exciting? Kansas City and Denver, or how many times you will truly see Taylor Swift on your television?
All that and more as Sunday Scaries with Buccs McGee breaks down week 6 in the NFL.
Welcome back to Jacksonville, Florida. Here we are, Sunday Scaries with Buccs McGee and my right-hand man, Nutmeg 2 Palmetto, here for the Colts versus the Jags. Nutmeg, how we doing?
Uncle Rico comes home rocking that horseshoe.
Whoa, Uncle Rico, man, my man.
Before we get to that and a few other topics, we have to talk about the game we just watched on Thursday. Kansas City hosted this deplorable Denver Broncos team, and thank goodness they played the Denver Broncos.
I am contractually obligated to talk about this game. If it was anybody else other than Denver, Kansas City would be losing. Let's be realistic. Kansas City would have lost. This is just, there's no words. No words for Denver. I don't know anymore. I just don't. I got nothing.
We thought we were gonna we thought we didn't know what we were gonna see out of Travis Kelce, but of course with the very famous and lovely Taylor Swift shining down upon him, something about her presence lifted his spirits to have quite a big game on Thursday night. And so we thought we were going to see a limping Travis and Patrick's going to spread it around, get other people involved. Sure enough, he goes off for 120-something yards and has actually a pretty decent game. And I guess that ankle thing was just a bit of a ruse.
Yeah, ruse, sure. All he basically did was run down the middle of the field 10 yards, turn around, and catch the ball. Denver couldn't figure this out? Really? You're telling me Denver couldn't stop it? He was running such complex routes, really.
Especially since Patrick's not even looking at anyone else.
Because they can't catch the ball. Literally. Like, this is probably as bad as I have seen Patrick Mahomes. Like, let's be realistic here. They still look out of sync. Ran the ball a little better. Pachenko, had some pop, tonight, but still nothing great. I don't know. I'm not confident in Kansas City. They played Denver, so whatever, man. You could have pulled Travis's mom and put her on the line, and they still would have won.
They got to be careful with that. Zach Wilson will turn up out of nowhere in the stands.
He'll ask for a trade. Blaine Gabbert for Zach.
That's right. The Milfhunter always watching.
He's got spies everywhere. But the fact of the matter is, Denver's just horrible. I don't know. I've never seen so many batted balls at the line of scrimmage. It's just, I don't know. They're talking about the fire sale in Denver, and it's going to happen. Like, it's on its way. Frank Clark is supposedly on his way out. I believe he restructured his contract to actually save them some money, so a deal could go through. So who knows where he's going to go? So left and right, you're going to see this team probably in the next 2 weeks be vastly different than what we saw tonight.
That's what I was going to ask next, and this is shaping up to be a Florida Marlins level fire sale.
Wow, seriously. Like, remember, they cut it all loose. I think they sent the Bat Boys somewhere. Uh, it's gonna be tough. Like, this team will not look nothing like this next year, and I believe everyone except Patrick Surtain is touchable. I think you'll see a lot of guys go, which is a shame because, like Justin Simmons and such, he's been there for 8 years. He's the heart and soul of that defense. I think he deserves better, but maybe going somewhere else is what he needs.
I even heard Patrick Surtain was on the block.
You know what? I think if someone gives them the right price, he will go. I would keep him. He's one of the best cover corners in the league. But hey, I guess if you want to strip it all down and start totally from scratch, hey, I guess if he can get you a first round pick, you take it.
Yeah. I mean, is this kind of just what Sean Payton wants, though? I mean, we're seeing this like fall into place piece by piece, and we've been joking about it all season. Now it looks like that's what he's really doing. He's just tearing it down by the screws.
We really should have thought of 6 numbers because we would have cashed in because I won't lie, we've been good. We've been good this year.
Yeah.
But no, I think that's exactly what it is. He's like, you know what? We're just going to go out there. Let's just run the offense as it is, because some of those plays tonight were horrible. I don't know what he was thinking, but he was just like, yeah, here, just go run this. I don't care. And he wants to basically just clean everything out and bring in his style of play, his own guys. So I think they're going to try to get as many draft picks as possible. I don't know if quarterback's going to be on the top of that list. I would think so. Maybe Denver will figure out some trade partner who will take Russ. I don't know. I don't think anyone will take him. That contract is monstrous. But could you really see him going another season with Russ? Does he really like him? Because if he likes him, that's a bad way to treat somebody you like. Honestly,
it's the most toxic relationship I've ever seen in my life.
It's like when you were a little kid in the sandbox and you liked the girl in your class and you pulled her hair or you threw sand at her. Like, that's how you showed her you liked her, right? As a kid. That's what's going on here, because honestly, you don't treat your quarterback like this at all. So
this is worse. This is worse than Johnny Depp and Amber Heard.
Oh Lord, yes, exactly. So I don't know if these were auditions for these guys for other teams. If they are, no one's taking any of these guys. But Denver is Denver. KC played a C- D+ game and still won. If I'm a KC fan, I'm not really impressed with this. I'm kind of nervous because, like I said, if it was anybody else, this game they could have lost this game. Really.
Yeah. But you're right. We have been good. Too bad it's been mostly reduced to ridiculing the Broncos and Jets.
Yeah, calling injuries with the Ravens. What else, man? If you want some Juby sprayed on your team, just ask us. Tell us your team.
Yeah.
Just don't talk about the Bucks or the Colts, please.
That's right.
Can't do that.
We got enough. We got enough juju for our own teams. We don't need any help.
Yeah, we're dealing with enough here. We're doing all right. Leave us be. Let us have our moments. I don't know. Oh man. Amazon, man. I feel bad for Amazon. Let's be real.
The first time any humans ever said that.
Last year, the games were horrible, right? Last game, the games were bad. And I watched them because I love football. So, of course, I watch them, This year, they gave them a really good schedule. Because in theory, on paper, these games are supposed to be good. And
yeah.
This was a dud and a half, my friends. Dud and a half. Sorry, Jeff Bezos. Man, just happens. Ask for a refund. Get your money back.
Now, last week, we got a little bit of a gift of a couple trades that went down to talk some fun topics, but we were kind of devoid of that this week. However, that injury bug has reared its ugly head again and claimed several different victims this week.
Man, 1 week. Can I go 1 week without an injury? Like, legit, man. This is nuts. Oh, whatever. All right.
So the first one, of course, is my guy, my quarterback, AR. He got hurt in last week's game against Tennessee. and that shoulder injury is keeping him out. And like we talked about last week, he's just looking like he's absolutely made of glass. Another one is rookie phenom Devon Achan. He's out with a mystery knee injury. They didn't say it was an ACL. They didn't really clarify what it was. They just said it was a knee injury, and he's going to miss about a month. And then, of course, Mr. Playmaker himself, possibly the best wide receiver in the league, Jay Jettis, Justin Jefferson from Minnesota. He's out as well with a hamstring injury. And of these three injuries, which one has the biggest impact on their team, both in the short term and on their ongoing playoff aspirations?
I'm going to go Jay Jettis. And the reason...
So that's a stat. So you're like kind of insinuating that Minnesota still has a playoff opportunity.
Oh, no, not at all. This, I think, kind of speeds up what do you do with Kirk Cousins?
Yeah.
Let's be realistic. Jay Jettis is the offense. Everyone feeds off of this guy. You know, they were going to go as far as he was going to take them. Let's be honest. Now, Cousins is solid, puts up the numbers. It's a legit top 10, top 15 quarterback. Now Minnesota has to say, are we going in? You know, this is what we have. Now everyone's basically just going to, you know, bracket Hawk. Addison's got to show up. KJ Osborne has got to show up. This offense now is what? I don't think it's nearly as explosive.
Yeah.
So now let's say they lose. Let's say Jay Jettis is out 3 to 6 weeks, right? Let's say they lose two games, 2 more. At that point, you're right about the trade deadline. I think Minnesota has to make a decision.
Yeah.
If somebody wants him and Kurt's willing to waive the trade clause, then you have basically changed the fortunes of your franchise. You're moving on. You're throwing in the towel. So I think that's the injury that really affects the most. The other two, AR, got Uncle Rico, man. What are you worried about? Uncle Rico's going to win you some games. I honestly think, because they're saying what? How many weeks? They're saying a couple months, right, for AR right now?
At least a month. I think it's. I think they just said. Well, I think for AR they said a month and a half. So it'll be
All
like
right, so you're
6 weeks.
4 to 6 weeks, right? Uncle Rico goes 4-2. That's pretty good in that division. Because right now that division really is in flux. We don't know what's going on. No one has pulled away at all. And I know you would take 4-2, no problem.
I'd be very happy with 4-2.
That very well could put you deep in the mix with the division, at least the wild card.
Yeah.
Then the question is, do you ride Uncle Rico? Which I think maybe they do, because like you said, right now AR is made of glass.
I think that would depend on how well he plays. Like if he's playing well, but he's just like a game manager, then you have to maybe like split time, work AR a little bit, and then eventually give it back to him. But if he's playing well and like actually making legitimate starter type plays to win ball games, then you just have to ride out the hot hand. And AR,
right, but
AR just sit and watch and learn.
But if Uncle Rico's not losing games for you, then I don't move him. I go with Uncle Rico, because every time you bring back AR after a game, he's out again.
It hurts again.
Like let's be honest. I say if literally after 6 weeks you're 4-2 and you're in the thick of it, he's a rookie. He can wait. He can wait, and you see what happens. You toughen him up, and he's got to do whatever he's got to do to stay healthy. But if Uncle Rico is giving you that chance to win and grab a playoff spot, you do what you do.
Yeah.
You know, you can't worry about hurting the kid's feelings. You sit him down. You're like, hey, man, we got to toughen you up. You got to get healthy. Right now, this is the hot hand. This team is yours for the future, but the future isn't now.
Yeah.
And for H.A.M, dude, what do you got to worry about? You rest the guy. He's been incredible, no doubt about it. Incredible. That running game in Miami has been fierce. You still got the wide receivers. You still got Mozart there. So you rest the kid. You hopefully get him back in a month or so. Hopefully the knee isn't anything serious. But Miami was rolling last year. I think it still continues. Yeah, you're going to miss, that second running back, but I don't think it hurts them that much.
In that case, so they're in a window right now this week where they can activate Jeff Wilson.
Mm-hmm.
Jeff Wilson had some pretty explosive games last year or the year before, whenever it was. And so how does this set up when H.A.M's back? Is he just go right back into, because he's the young kid, he's the hot hand, he's where your future's tied to, or has looked such through his first few games? Or if Jeff Wilson reclaims some of that fire he had, and Mostert's doing his thing and hasn't got hurt yet, because we all know he's an injury risk. Do you kind of stick with, do you kind of like work him in a little bit? Now you have this three-headed monster where nobody's kind of a feature back.
I think you very well could go three-headed. Why not? At the end of the day, if they're winning games, I don't think those guys are going to worry about it. Like you said, H.A.M's the future. You can sit there and tell them, you know what, we want you 100%. Fine, if you lose 5 to 7 carries, that's fine. You know why? Because next year you're going to come back healthier. You're going to come back better. So I think, yeah, you do that. And if you got to go three-headed, that's fine. Jeff Wilson very well could be playing for a position on another team. Let's be realistic. He very well could be odd man out.
Yeah.
So this could be audition tape for him. So you ride this for what you can. If this is going to get you to a Super Bowl, then you go three-headed monster and you see what happens. Yeah. So I think Miami has the luxury to rest H.A.M and say, okay, you know what? We're going to make sure you're 100% because we want you here long-term.
And we know it's always a nice thing to preserve mileage on a young back's legs because they get to the end of their rookie contract and nobody wants to pay running backs.
No. And so you tell them you don't want to be there. Your owner pays for some orchids or some other stuff. And then lo and behold, they give you a contract.
Hey, the contract is given to you from the first place.
It's the book of JT. That's what you do.
The book of JT, yes.
That's what you do. But no, I think Miami will be affected least by the injury bug. And I think Minnesota will have questions that very well could affect their franchise long-term.
Yeah. Speaking of franchises with both long-term history and short-term goals, we move into our top 3 games of the week. The first one, ironically enough, is the game that ends week 6. Dallas coming off of that smackdown in the Bay Area against the Niners, stays on the West Coast, although I'm sure they went back home in between, and sets up camp at SoFi in Los Angeles against the Chargers. The Chargers coming off a bye week. Herbert busted his hand last week. He's got a fractured hand, but it is his non-throwing hand. So is Dallas due for a refreshed Chargers team who kind of had a little bit of a bumpy start to the season? Now they're coming off a bye week a little more fresh. Or is Dallas gonna kind of shake off that smackdown they got and give the Chargers a run for their money?
Honestly, I think Dallas feasts. I really do. The Chargers, we still don't know if Eckler's back.
He says he is.
Yeah, he says he is. Yeah. Every player says that they are, and then they go out there, 45 minutes before the game, and next thing you know, they can't play Deshaun Watson, and then he's out another week. So, and that defense is still kind of in flux. They traded J.C. Jackson, this past week. So I think this team is still trying to figure out offensively how they are. They lost Mike Williams.
Yeah.
So they're still trying to figure things out. They're not on full cylinder 100%. I think Dallas is coming in because there's a lot of questions with Dallas, and I think they're a little angry. I think the Chargers are ripe for kind of a whooping. I'm gonna be honest. I don't trust the Chargers.
Right.
Unfortunately, no. I would love to, but they haven't given me enough this season to say, okay, they're gonna bounce back, and here you go. They're not full strength. Dallas, they were nicked up in their secondary a little bit, but they've got a plethora of cornerbacks and such that can pick up the slack. I think Dak needs to play solid, so I think this game is going to be a Dallas whooping. I think Dallas is going to handle business.
Yeah, I would definitely agree that the Chargers are probably right for that, and I don't trust them either. They're getting back to like the Phillip Rivers days where they would run ramshot through the regular season, and then I don't know what this team's going to do.
Exactly. I think they're a wounded animal right now. They're not 100%. I think what's going to happen, as in all Charger games, someone's going to make a call that's not going to work out in their way. I don't know who that would be. And it's just, I don't think it's going to be pretty. I hope I'm wrong. I really do. And I hope the Chargers, it's a hell of a game, but I think Dallas is going to smell some blood in the water, and I think they're just going to pin their ears back defensively and just turn this into a mess.
You're very subtweety this week. First Deshaun Watson, then Brandon Staley.
I'm just saying, there's some, parallels are an interesting thing. And, when you see a few of them, you like to talk about them. But no, really, I wish the Chargers were going in 100%, all weapons ready to go, but they're not. They've got to figure it out. They've got to keep, Herbie upright, because Dallas is going to be coming with some blitzes. It's going to be a nasty game, and I don't know if the Chargers can hold up. I really don't.
Yeah, and the thing with Mike Williams is you would think the Mike Williams injury would allow Palmer to play well, or Quentin Johnston to finally get some balls thrown his way.
Mm-hmm.
But I think he's already missed a week now, and we haven't seen Herbie spreading it around any more than he was before.
No, and it's really weird. Like you said, you would hope that those two guys would really show out and kind of step up, and they really haven't. So now it's Keenan Allen, and who else? Who is the guy? Because with Mike Williams gone, who's going to step up and be that guy? Because you don't know if Eckler is going to come back. Kelly's no way a quality backup. He has been total disappointment so far. So who's that guy? And right now, I don't think the Chargers know who it is. They're hoping that maybe someone shows up for the game, but I don't know.
Kelly's making them wish they bid a little bit on Dalvin Cook, maybe.
They're like, 10 million might not have been as bad as we thought.
Yeah. Next up is, of course, the game we are witnessing in person today.
Oh, yes. Here at lovely Jacksonville, baby.
Yes. Sunny northern Florida, is that what we call it? Northern Florida.
Yeah, I guess you can call it that. Me, I'm a Tampa guy, so it's my first trip here to the Ville. Very Duval, very excited.
TII Bank Field. So
I'm telling you.
Is that now there's a little bit of a subplot to this, because Uncle Rico, of course, came into the league and started to make a little bit of a name for himself, running wild for the Jaguars back in I guess it was the Gus Bradley days. Ironically enough, our defensive coordinator now.
Look how it all comes full circle, man. Oh man, I don't know if that bodes well.
Well, yeah. Well, and on top of that, Jacksonville is our house of horrors. We haven't won in Jacksonville in years. Like a decade, I think. I don't know. I can't remember what the exact number is, because I try to wipe it from my memory, because it's just a pain point and tears and heartache. But yeah, Jacksonville, our house of horrors. So, like, are there kind of a lot of things brewing here to maybe break the schneid and take advantage of this Jacksonville team that has been a little up and down this season?
Here's the deal. This, the term trap game is thrown around like water nowadays. It's just one of those things. This truly is a trap game for Jacksonville. They were over yonder for 2 weeks. Now they're coming home, and you've got these Colts that are, kind of getting used to the fact that AR is not going to be around for a month or so. And now Uncle Rico he's the driver here. He's the guy. So it's going to be interesting to see how this plays. I don't know, because like I said, Jacksonville is Jekyll and Hyde. You don't know what you're going to get. Are they going to show up for this game, or are they going to say, oh, well, it's the Colts, we'll be all right, and kind of just come in with no intensity? Like, I think Jacksonville really needs to show up and really play well to let people know that, what, the last couple of weeks haven't been a fluke. Like, they're legitimate and they're ready to be, a contender in the AFC. Because if they lose this game, no one's going to take them seriously.
gives
Sorry, at
us
this point, yeah.
gives us our third divisional win and knocks our season series with the Jags at one apiece with
I
no
know.
opportunity for them to come back at us.
For you guys, yeah, this is you guys beat them. You beat the Jags. Everyone's gonna say, you know what? Colts are legitimate. This is one of those games that possibly turns the season. Like I said, if they beat the Jags and Uncle Rico plays well, this could be the game that basically they say, you know what? You're the guy till we fall apart.
Yeah. Now the offense does have a little bit of a different I don't want to say personality, identity, different identity with Uncle Rico than AR. Who do you think is maybe we're almost going to give a fantasy tip here. Who do you think are the most likely targets for Uncle Rico to throw to? Is it going to be Pittman? Is it going to be Josh Downs, who had a great game last week? Is it going to be someone else, or is it going to be someone else?
I don't know. The question is how much do they trust Uncle Rico just to let it rip? I think you're going to get a heavy dose of Taylor. And I think what's going to happen is if Taylor can, average about 4.5 a carry, then I think that's going to open it up. I think it's easy to key in on Pittman. So these other guys are going to have to really, really show up. I think Uncle Rico has a good rapport with everybody. So I think it's really hard to gauge who it's going to be. So
you think after 1 week the pitch counts up? You don't think JT will be on a pitch count anymore?
No. I think at this point, no. If he's back, he's back. He signed that deal. It's week 2 back. Here you go, man. You want to be the man? You got your money. Now here you go. You should be healthy. You should be good to go. Now, if it's a situation where you want to go change a pace and say, okay, I still think you've got to keep Moss in the game. He's still got to be the guy.
Yeah.
He still's got to, get his touches. I think they have a nice two-headed situation there. And I think Taylor should embrace that and say, hey, you know what? I don't want to take away from this guy. I think we've got, us two here. We can almost be a Miami type of backfield.
Yeah. And Zach Moss runs angry.
He does. He really does. If he can take some of the hits off of Taylor, then I think there you go.
Yeah.
I think it works that way. And then at that point, Uncle Rico can let it rip. So it's an interesting problem that Indy has. I don't think it's not a problem. I think it's something nice. I just think it depends how much they trust Uncle Rico to say, go ahead, man, do what you do.
Yeah. I was one that, was very sad to see Nyheim Hines go. I felt he was like a child to me, but I think it's safe to say. I think it's safe to say we got the better end of that deal.
I had to let my boy go. No, and you did. Like honestly, it's like I was there from the beginning, and then he was gone. Yeah, and now he's out for the season because he's riding jet skis. All hell broke loose, and I think Moss took it personally and said, you know what? I'm gonna show Buffalo what they're losing. And now this guy's playing great ball. So you guys really won out, no doubt on that deal. But no, I think your offense is slowly starting to develop. The question is what is it going to become once AR comes back?
Yeah.
Because Uncle Rico and AR are two totally different, quarterbacks. But like I said, you guys go 4-2 on, next 6 to 8 weeks. Quarterback controversy.
That's right. Yeah.
So
the third game of our top 3 games, as our visual audience can see, you are sporting some quite fancy threads this week.
Creamsicle! It has returned. Yes, the Creamsicle game, which I am foregoing so that I can see Uncle Rico. It's supposed to be AR, but Uncle Rico. Not a bad consolation prize, but yes. It's Tampa and Detroit. Oh, man, this is going to be a good one. It's going to be a good one.
So this one kind of shakes out to – so we going into, I think, the Philly game, We were like, okay, Tampa's schedule so far, they've been very good, but they've played a lot of subpar competition. Philly came in, it was a bit of a wake-up call, shut down the run. Baker kind of looked out of sorts a little bit. And then, of course, they had that huge win over New Orleans. But as we've talked on the show in the past, New Orleans, you're, kind of skeptical on. So is this one kind of lines up more like the Philly game? Can Detroit take a page out of that playbook and shut this run down to kind of make Baker have to carry too much of the burden?
Well, that's what it's going to be. I think this game, again, is going to be one in the trenches. I really do. Detroit's defensive line is really good. Their offensive line is good as well. But you got Hutch on the D line, and he's a beast. I think that kid is unbelievable. So our offensive line has gotten better. It still needs to improve. So I think it's going to be and as Tampa has been all year, it's play action. We got to be able to run the ball to open up the play action. I think the X factor is Baker. Let's be realistic. I think if he's able to scramble for first downs and prolonged drives, that's going to be key if, the run game isn't doing what it needs to do. Detroit's defensively, secondary-wise, is susceptible. Yeah. I really feel that. I think the key is if Mike Evans is playing or not. He didn't practice, the hamstring still. But I do like Tampa's smaller wide receiver lineup, with Tompkins, Godwin, and Palmer. I think those guys are quick. Those guys are athletic. They make great catches. So I think that's going to open it up. I think the tight ends are going to be, an important part of this game as well. Cade Otton, I think, has kind of showed up. My boy Cade Otton, man, he's showing out, man. Give that boy some respect. Give that boy some respect. So I think, yes, this definitely is a measuring stick for Tampa because we talked about this last week where Detroit was in the pecking order. And honestly, right now, after that Dallas debacle, let's be honest, would you say that Detroit maybe sitting up there in the 3-hole, creeping up?
Honestly, especially if Dallas puts up a donut, or not a donut, but a less than stellar performance against the Chargers, Detroit clearly cements themselves above Dallas, maybe even in spite of whatever the result of this Tampa game is.
Yeah, very well. They almost are that second tier. They are pretty much entrenched themselves in the second tier of the NFC. So this game is going to be, is Detroit, ready, to take the next step, even though it is Tampa, some people would say, well, it's not really the next step to playing Tampa, but, it's a division leading, leaders. Yeah. You're playing a division leader, so you got to play well. So it's going to be interesting how this game goes. I'm excited to see how it plays out. Goff has played incredibly well. He's really come into his own since coming over from, the Rams. And, I don't know if running back wise, I know Montgomery's healthy. I don't know if Gibbs is healthy 100%. That's part of it too. But Montgomery runs angry. Let's be real. He puts his head down and he runs behind that O-line. So that's going to be a challenge for the defense, But Tampa's got some dogs on that defense, so I'm really excited to see how we match up. It's another measuring stick.
Well, speaking of that, let's flip to the other side. Like you said, Goff does have an amazing offense. He's poured in some points this year, and Tampa's defense, as we've talked about and you've stated many, many times on the show, is what was Tampa's strength going in, and very much is a big strength as the season has progressed. So. Amon-Ra St. Brown is questionable. If he plays, obviously that's a huge that's a huge target to try and slow down. Jameson Williams is back off suspension. He had a little bit of a rough week against Carolina, but he's still an explosive talent. This Raymond has been Goff's almost security blanket, catching some things. And of course the rookie Sam Laporta, the tight end, has been amazing this year.
He's been unreal. Very impressed with him. Very impressed with Sam.
Yeah. Handicap Tampa's defense in this game. Can they try to slow down all these weapons, especially if St. Brown is playing?
All right. So if St. Brown's playing, the question is he 100%? That's the thing. Now, if he's 100%, of course, they're going to be difficult. But I assume Carlton Davis is going to be the guy who's going to pick him up, and he's the number one cornerback in Tampa, no doubt. He's their emotional leader. He's that guy. Jamel Dean, if he's healthy, on the other side, great cornerback as well. The key is going to be safety, and it's Antoine Winfield. He's played lights out so far this season. Right now, he's probably one of the top 3 safeties in the game. I'm going to be honest and say that I think he's incredible. He plays the ball well. He can play anywhere on the field. Our backers are quick, Levante David, Devin White. And the D-line is solid, Vita Vea. You've got, other guys coming in, So I think our defense matches well. Our defense is quick. We're younger and we're quicker than we were last year. So I think our defense matches up well. It's just going to be, watching, Laporta, seeing what they do with him. They're probably going to move him around. I think at wide receiver, if Brown doesn't play, I think that hurts them, because I think at that point our corners are physical and they may play in the box a little more, and they'll watch Sam a bit, coming off the line. So it's going to be interesting. But I think with our speed on defense, I think we match up well.
I won't put you in the position to try and pick this game. However, I will ask you, do you think it's going to be an ugly one and the winner is going to have to grind it out, or do you think it's going to be a high flying aerial assault?
Wow.
And whoever has the ball last wins.
Wow. I think I'm not going to say it's going to be a grind out game, but I don't know if it's going to be high flying. I think it's going to be one of those situations where the teams are going to pick and choose where they really let it rip. But if it's Baker, if the man thinks he's got a shot, he's going to let it go. Let's be real. He's played smarter than he has, the last couple of years. But I also think it's a situation where these teams are going to be smart with the ball and not try to play hero ball, because both defenses, can make plays. So I don't think it's going to be ugly, but I'm not looking for both teams to put up 30, 35 points either. Mid-20s. I could see mid-20s. Make that money. Get that Uncle Rico jersey. Support Uncle Rico. Or get your creamsicle. It's colorful. Works on the complexion.
So we're gonna wrap up the show and with a fun little segment called "What Could Have Been," because there's a few games this week that looked a lot different 2, 3, 6 months ago than they have over the last few weeks, and then they do today.
Oh, do they?
We're gonna start off a little light with the first one. We're gonna start off a little light with the first one, because Seattle and Cincinnati could still be a good game. Seattle's 3-1 or 3-2, I guess they are. No, 3-1. They already had the bye week.
Yes.
I knew I wasn't crazy. Seattle's 3-1. They're coming off their bye week to go into Cincinnati. Of course, Seattle's a franchise that historically struggles on the road, but in the Pete Carroll era, they've been significantly better. And Cincinnati, as we've talked a lot this season, has been very much up and down. And last week, Jamar Chase absolutely went off. Burrow looked like the calf wasn't bothering him. So with this game, with a Seattle defense that plays really hard and is very, very young, are we going to see Cincinnati's momentum continue, or is Seattle going to come in fresh and bring them back down to reality, and maybe the Cincinnati question marks start to arise again?
This one's interesting because you don't know, because Cincinnati hasn't played back-to-back quality games. Let's be honest. Like you said, this last week was the first game where Joe looked like Joe for the most part.
Yeah.
So it's going to be interesting how healthy the calf is, calf gate, still on it, making sure he's still healthy. So we're going to see that part of it. And then with Seattle, this in a way is kind of a measuring stick, because, everyone's talking in the NFC, Philly, San Fran, can't say Dallas, Detroit,
I can't say
know,
Dallas.
Can't say Dallas, Detroit. So, and Seattle's kind of, third tier, kind of almost second tier. Like, where are they? No one, I don't think, knows 100% yet. So this game could go a long ways to show that, Seattle's a real deal and they're going to be a player come January. So I think it's going to be a good game. I think it's, you're going to see, like I said, it's either Joe's healthy or, he takes a sack or, does something. And next thing you know, he's out of the game. And then now it's Seattle's game to lose. But I think Seattle's going in saying, okay, we need to make a statement. We need to make sure we play well. We continue 3-1. That's great. But we got to keep pace with, the Niners. So it's going to be an entertaining game. But I think Seattle's looking at this one as a statement game.
Do you think Cincinnati's defense has shown enough this year to give you confidence they can slow down Kenny Walker?
I think they can, but if Cincy's offense is 3 and out, Joe gets hurt, then it's a wrap because all they're going to do is just start to hammer because that's what Kenny does. And by mid to late third quarter, since he's going to be tired, they're going to be sore, and then Seattle will impose their will. So I think Cincy needs to score quick and early to kind of let the defense pin their ears back and go after Seattle a bit and not have to worry about the run. Because at that point, even though Seattle has talented wide receivers, they've got Lockett and, DK, I think Cincy's defense can hold them up, can play well against them. So it all depends on Joe. Let's be honest. Joe's got to be healthy, and Joe's got to be able to move that offense.
Do you think Joe will be able to sling it around and move the ball around against Seattle's defense?
I think so. I think they have the weapons on offense that they can score. It's just Joe's got to be smart and not try to make something out of nothing if he can't do it. Because I think Seattle's defense is, they look for those turnovers, they look for the takeaways. But I think if they play smart and play like they did last week, I think they can score on them for sure.
Wake up, T. Higgins. And Joe, please remember Joe Mixon is behind you.
Yeah, exactly. Joe Mixon might be the X factor. They've got to, he's been decent. When he's given him the ball, he's performed.
Yeah.
I think they really need to kind of say, you know what, let's lean on this run a little bit and let's see what happens. Give, Joe some carries because I think he can handle it.
Yeah.
It's not like he's had a heavy workload so far this season. So give him the ball, let him run, and then at that point, let Joe do what Joe Shiesty does.
The next one, of course, we always find a way to talk about the Jets. This game looked really, really stellar going into the season. They're hosting the NFC champion Eagles. Eagles now are 5-0. And they're kind of coming to the Jets. And at first, it looked like they're going to come play Aaron Rodgers, just a different shade of green. But now that vaunted Philly front seven might have a little bit of a field day against the Jets offensive line chasing around the Milfhunter. So this game, now this is where we get into a true what could have been. Where do we look at this game today versus what we thought this game was going to be?
I'm going to be honest. I don't know how much, well, I don't want to say that, but it almost could have been the same result. Let's be honest. The Jets offensive line is putrid. Let's be honest. And they have injuries on that offensive line right now. I think Tucker's out for the year. They're scrambling to figure out what they're going to do with this offensive line. And that's one of the reasons why number 8 is not here.
Yeah.
So Philly's a bit nicked up too on the offensive side. Wide receivers are a little nicked up. So Philly's just too strong. That D-line, they're going to have some young guys they're going to play in there. It's not going to be pretty. It's going to be rough. So
Rodgers or no Rodgers, Eagles were going to roll one way or the other.
I think Rodgers would have put up a fight. They would have put up some points for sure. But I think the Eagles still would have won that game. I really do. I think the Eagles would have won that game. If we're saying everybody's 100% healthy, if we're going both sides, everyone's healthy, I still think the Eagles would have won that game. But now, with the way things are, this If the Jets somehow find a way to win this game, this could go down as the greatest upset in the last couple of years. I just don't know. I don't know. It's going to be a lot of heart coming on the Jets side. Hopefully, this game very well could be the end of Zach Wilson, if you think about it. If he really falls apart and this just becomes a 45-3 thrashing and it's just not there, the calls to Minnesota could start up.
Yeah. How if he does fall apart and if it gets really ugly, just how ugly does it get? Is this going to be a situation where Philly's just too much for the Jets defense, or can that defense, which still is very good in their own right and has kept them afloat a little bit, despite everything, can that defense kind of somewhat keep them at least within a semi-respectable deficit?
Here's the deal. With any great defense, if you're on the field too long, it doesn't matter. You're gonna start to lose it. Now the Jets defense is great. I'm not gonna lie. I like that defense. But I don't know. I don't know if they can withstand it. I don't know. But it's also the fact of, are the Eagles going to throw the ball? Are they going to try just to run the ball? If they just try to run the ball, then they may have a shot. If it's been this on and off, if they get the off Jalen, they've got a shot. Yeah. Because I haven't seen like two real good games from Jalen where, like he doesn't need to throw for 500 yards, but if he's throwing for 315, 320, just looking comfortable in the pocket, I need to see that. But if the receivers are banged up like they're saying and still then he may have to perform a little more and the run game may have to be featured. And if that's the case, you got to give the Jets a chance.
Yeah. So this last game of what could have been is in prime time, and NBC may be wishing that they flexed out of it because the Giants,
you could have flexed Detroit and Tampa. Tell me you couldn't. Now, mind you, they did flex it to 4:00, but at this point, you look at this, I would have scrambled and said, can we move them to prime time? Can we do it? Because this thing is just smells of why. Why do I want to watch this?
Shoot, if they flexed it to prime time, we could have driven back from Jacksonville and made it Tampa in time for kickoff.
Exactly. We could have done a 2-for-1.
Yeah.
This game's going to be rough, man. I don't know.
Looked like zombies Monday morning, but hey, what we do for content, right?
It's for the love of the game. It's for the love of the game, people.
So same question as with the Philly game. How did this Giants-Bills game stack up going into the year versus now where we stand through 5 games?
Here's my deal, and I said this. I didn't think the Giants improved that much. Like, okay, they got Waller, and we were like, all right, a bona fide weapon if healthy. We still had questions about the wide receivers. We didn't know what they were going to be like. Their defense is, I won't lie, the Giants played with heart last week. Give them credit. Giants played with heart last week, no doubt about it. But it just goes to show you that after a while, the elite teams will take a couple punches from the upstarts and they can do what they got to do to win, as Miami showed. The only question is what Buffalo team are you going to get? Are you going to get the ones that are, where, Josh is out, firing in all cylinders, slinging it left and right. And, he's got like 250 by halftime and the run game is solid, or they're for some reason just struggling, not on the same page. And they go into halftime only up by like 3. And the Giants are like, oh man, we've got a chance.
Yeah, we're in it.
Exactly. But we don't know if Danny Dimes is going to be ready to play. His neck's still kind of banged up from the last game. They've got some injuries on that team. So if Danny Dimes doesn't go, it's the Tyrod Taylor show. I don't know what you're going to get. Maybe they, slow it down. I don't know. I think Saquon's still questionable. I don't think he's coming back for this game either. So, yes, what this game could have been is more entertaining than definitely what I think we're going to get.
Yeah.
But I believe, picked Buffalo to win this game. I still don't think the Giants have enough offensively to match up with the likes of Buffalo. So,
what could this be a more ugly, lopsided finish than that Philly game?
Yeah, it could be. It has if it looks like it is with the injuries and stuff. Yeah, well, here's the thing. Buffalo's kind of banged up too. Matt Milano's out. They lost Tre'Davious White, so they have some injuries on their end, but I think Buffalo is stronger defensively than New York is. So I don't think it's going to be that bad. But if you told me the final score was like 38-21, I'd say, okay.
Yeah.
I could see it.
Yeah, I guess some garbage time touchdowns in there.
Exactly. Tyrod, runs for one. Maybe Jalen Hyatt catches something in the back of the end zone on a scramble. Could be something like that. This game is one of those games where you're like, okay, if I'm starting Josh on fantasy, I need him to do his business. I need him to get real.
Well, one more game to wrap up. These two actually start off Sunday, kicking off in a few short minutes from now. And that's Ravens Titans. Giving the aforementioned Jaguars a break from the international circuit. So the Ravens, they've been through the ringer with the injuries. Lamar has looked very inconsistent, not living up to that contract. And the Titans have not looked very good at all. They've had some bright spots. They do have a couple wins, but they're not I think they're just getting by on Guile and Mike Vrabel's coaching ability, really. So
right.
What did this game with these two teams that are usually fixtures in the playoff picture every year? What did this game look like going into the season versus now what we're going to get out in London? I think it's in London. It's not Germany, is it?
No, I believe it is. No, I believe it is Germany. I think. I'm not sure.
Prost! Fresh off Oktoberfest.
Exactly. Just give me some pretzels and some mustard. I'm ready to rock. All right. So what this game would have been the high-flying Ravens offense, on our way to 5,000 yards per Lamar, my, OBJ.
You're never going to let that live down, are you?
No, I'm not. Because you sat there. When you sit out there and you spit that out, you're putting the bullseye on yourself.
Yeah.
And now you're barely throwing for like 210, 220, if that. So it was this high-flying offense, everybody was healthy. They were ready to go. And then you had the Titans, still, Derrick Henry led. Still some questions about what Tannehill was going to be, if he was even going to be there, trade talks, we're still, kind of rumbling. But you figured you were going to get, hard-nosed defense from Tennessee. They were going to grind it out, some play action. And now we've got the usual Ravens, blah, living on the legs of Lamar. Let's be realistic, living on the legs of Lamar.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, an injury away from just falling apart again. No real pass game whatsoever. And then you've got the Titans. Yeah.
Defense, Henry, not a whole lot else.
Defense, an occasional Henry sighting, and nothing else.
That's true.
Because
not even the Henry we used to see.
No, it's like Henry Light.
Yeah.
And let's be real. After a while, I don't know if maybe he's just not feeling it. If he's just, maybe he's lost a little bit. Maybe he's like, you know what? I'm tired of this. I'm tired of, being the bell cow and, us not doing anything otherwise. Who knows? But like, I give them credit on the defensive side. Those guys play hard all the time. Vrabel's, coached them very well this year, but talent-wise, they just don't have it. So this game is probably going to be, if you were to tell me that somehow the Titans pull out a 17-13 win, I'd believe you.
Yeah, I wouldn't.
I
just don't trust Baltimore, especially after last week.
No, you can't. You can't tell me that you can say that they're going to score 20 plus points. There's no way. I don't believe it. Now, unless some flukeness happens, okay, maybe the defense, a couple turnovers here and there. The defense is decent, not the Ravens defense that we know and love.
Love this one.
Wow, for guys who like the defense, it's love. Okay, I'm sorry.
Oh, it's not about disliking defense, it's about disliking the Ravens.
All right, I apologize. But yeah, for what we thought we were going to get, it's not it at all. So it's just going to be one of those games where if you love the division and you want to see one of these guys lose, then that's what you're watching it for. But nothing like we thought it was going to be.
Well, we're what you thought us to be. We're not churning out losses. We're going hard in our division every week.
Undefeated.
Yes.
Watch out, Miami is 72. We're coming every week. Every week.
Check out Sunday Scaries with Buccs McGee every Sunday morning live at 8 a.m. Eastern on YouTube and Rumble. And check out our audio show as well on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. And of course, our Monday morning quarterback show after we recap everything live on YouTube. Catch everything wrapped up in a nice little audio package for you. Buccs McGee, week 6. Let's go into a football game. Enjoy some live football this year and take us off air.
Yes, folks. If you have the privilege of watching this epic Jags-Colts game, look for us. We're going to be there. Can't wait. It's going to be fun. That's why we do this. We love the game. For everybody who was on that list of what could have been, I apologize. Hopefully your games are better than what we're saying they're going to be. We've been known to be wrong once or twice. Everybody enjoy week 6. We'll be back. Nutmeg, as always, an honor and a privilege, my friend. Let's do it.